If you are looking to buy or sell a house, you have probably heard the term concessions, and often we refer to them as seller concessions. What in the world is that? I'm going to talk to you about that today. My name's Christina Brown here with the Brown team at Sage Door Realty, and today's topic, the seller concessions, is something that comes up very often in our negotiations. So when we use seller concessions, we often say seller concessions because it is money or concessions we're asking the seller to give up out of their proceeds in order to make the deal essentially, let's say, a win-win for everyone. So concessions can be used when your home is on the market as a way to attract buyers. So, hey, you want to offer a concession by buying a home warranty. That's an example of a concession used to attract buyers. You can also use concessions as a way to attract more buyers or to make it more affordable for maybe people that it could be difficult for. So another form of concessions in that case could be, hey, we'll buy down your interest rate, or hey, we'll pay your closing costs. Those are examples of sellers conceding or giving concessions towards a buyer in order to attract even more buyers and make it more affordable. And then of course the last way we typically use concessions is when we are already under contract, and typically this comes into play when we are negotiating after inspections or after appraisal. Then we might ask for concessions, which could be repairs. It could be, hey, let's just reduce the price. If you don't want to fix the broken window, then let's reduce the price for what I'm going to have to spend on the window. So that's an example, but I don't want you to think so simple and small when it comes to concessions. There are so many different options available on concessions and so many things that concessions can be used for that I feel often are overlooked or not thought of or not brought up. So here are some examples. First of all, concessions can be paid and used if the buyer is getting an FHA loan, a conventional loan, a VA loan, a USDA loan, an MHDC loan, a first-time homebuyer program. Concessions can be used in all these cases. However, each loan type does have particular guidelines and limitations as far as the max amount that can be contributed from a seller. So the lender will help us with that when we are looking to negotiate in the form of some type of concessions. So typically I would reach out to your lender and say, here's the deal. What's the best way we can spend these funds? Because reducing price, that is not always, and very rarely actually, is the best answer in the way of negotiating. I say that because if it needs a roof, let's say, and it's $10,000, you reduce the price $10,000, that is going to lower your monthly payment by like 80 bucks. Okay, but that is not going to put that roof on your house. Where are you going to get the $10,000? This is where the idea of concessions can come up. If your closing costs are a certain amount, and depending on what the loan type is, they can contribute, the seller, can contribute funds in order to pay for the roof. So maybe instead of you paying for your own closing costs and bringing those funds to the table, maybe we could ask the seller to do that. Then that leaves that money in your pocket to replace that roof. That is much better than reducing the monthly payment by 80 bucks a month. That makes it much more attainable and affordable for you to be able to handle that. All right, so that is the perfect example. The other example is, let's say it's a repair, it's some odds and end plumbing repairs, but you're a plumber, or your Uncle Bob is a licensed plumber, and you just know you can do it for much cheaper than any contractor is going to do that repair for. And so therefore, instead of just reducing the price by $3,000 for all these repairs, what if instead we called your lender and said, hey, we have $3,000 to play with. what's the best way to play with this money? And they could use that money maybe for a rate buy down, get you a better interest rate, which again, in the grand scheme of things, your monthly payment would go down by hardly anything versus the amount of interest you're going to save over the lifetime of the loan, and it would reduce your monthly payment. So be thinking outside the box when it comes to concessions. Some of the most common things we see concessions for, and this is a long list, and I've mentioned some already, is home warranty, buying down your interest rate, handling repairs, so paying for repairs, offsetting repair expenses, and then closing costs. All the fees included in closing costs, it's a long list, so things like any of the lender fees, the appraisal fees, title search fees, closing fees, loan fees, inspection fees. You can get those covered through concessions. HOA fees, most loan types will let them cover that for up to a year for you. We've even had it where they've covered flood insurance or other types of insurance for you for a period of time. Real estate taxes, mortgage insurance, the upfront premiums. There's things we can get in concessions that might make your life a little more comfortable when you first move into that home by offsetting some expenses that you wouldn't have to pay. So again, think outside the box. This is something we can help you do. And just remember, by leveraging these concessions wisely, using this money well, it can really create a win-win situation for both parties and help get the deal done. There you go. That's what concessions are. I hope that helps. You have a great day.